One tough biker, the thing to release him was, I see him as a little boy on a white rocking horse. You want to tell a tough old biker you see him as a little kid on a white rocking horse? They don't receive that very well right up front. And see, there was a problem with him. On the way there, he'd been promised his wife he'd go to a Christian meeting for 25 years. And she said, when are you going to do it? You promised me for 25 years. When are you going to back up your talk? Yeah. What kind of husband are you? At least it's at a convention center. It's not even at a church. So he said, fine, I'll go. So he was saying, I'll keep my word. But he was going under protest. Kind of like that boy got healed over in South Australia where he's under church. Well, I don't want to be here. God healed his leg anyway. His paralyzed leg. I remember that. There he was. And they come in the very back of this meeting, and we had a big worship, this big worship team, and people were all over it, so he couldn't go down the aisles because the aisles were filled with all these worshipers. So God gives him this word. He says, go back there and tell him you see him as this big guy comes in all his leathers and all that, this gang color still on. So go back and tell him you see him as a little kid on a white rocking horse. So I'm thinking, that's just nuts. It couldn't come from me, so I just go back there. I have to climb over all the chairs, and I get to the back, and I see this guy, look in his face. But see, on the way there, he tells his wife, see, I got something to tell you. The most traumatic moment in my life I've never shared with you. And I was a little boy on this white rocking horse. And I've never shared that with anybody. And if there's someone from God there, they'll know that. What do you think happened when I crawled back to the back and told him that? He was undone. God's looking not. I don't want to have church service anymore. I want services where we're undone. When the Holy Ghost shows up and the Lord shows up and He ministers to our heart, He changes people, and we go out and infect the world. I'm not worried about the world infecting me because we infect the world. So many people are hiding and afraid to be infected, but God said, go infect them. Go infect them with goodness and love. Go infect them with realness. That's the kind of God we serve. Can't tell you how many times the lady with the cat, that was funny. The lady with the cat, somebody had never been to church in their life. All her relatives had died, all her friends had died. It was just her. And all she had was this one cat. And the cat was really old. And that morning she took it to the vet, and the vet said, your cat's dying, there's nothing I can do. This little lonely grandma. So she thought, well, there's this church. They meet in the Senior Citizen Center. So I think I'll go try a church deal. Maybe they could pray for my cat because I got no hope. I got nobody, just this cat. So I keep getting this word cat. Nothing. Cat. Nothing. Cat. Nothing. Cat again, nothing. People are coming over, confirming that word like crazy. We got this word cat. Someone's got to have something about a cat. Does someone have a sick cat? Little grandma raises her hand. That little lonely grandma. I preached her funeral. The cat outlived her. Wow. 400 people came to her funeral. Wow. Psalm 68 says that God takes the lonely and puts them in families. Yes. And He found a lowly grandma. The only thing she had was a cat. And she stuck them in a family so they'd have a new grandma that they could love like crazy. Praise God. She's up in heaven cheering us all on. But it takes someone brave enough to stand up and give a word cat or crazy. So, it's not an easy word to give. But I'm telling you, when you're walking down the streets, God has a word for all kinds of people. Sometimes it's just one word that pierces right through a heart and how it speaks it. He wants to release so much. I got to pray for a girl back in Louisiana a couple months ago. This girl, her eyes were going so bad, and she was a young woman really, and she couldn't see colors anymore. She mostly seen black with just a little bit of light gray. And we prayed, and all of a sudden, boom, it's just like on the old Wizard of Oz where all of a sudden it goes to color. Boom, lights come on, she was freaking out. All the colors came back. God healed her. Got to be in South South Australia. We're doing just this fire tunnel. We're all praying and God's moving. And so there was a little boy, was he maybe 7 or 8? And he come through, I'm like, wait a minute, that little boy, we gotta lay hands on his tummy. He goes through and he goes up to his mom, it's on the staff there. Tells her, Abby, says, Mom, your friend prayed for my tummy. I know I'm ill. Well, I didn't know. Kidneys and livers aren't working. 20%. But God said, lay hands on his belly. See, we got to lay hands on your belly and blow it. God, man. God said, stop. Go lay hands on his belly, blow it there. Well, the test came back, we're working 100%, everything, all smells and all. Because God cares. God's looking for people who just care. It's not special people. It's a special, extraordinary God living inside ordinary people that flows out. That's why we're all needed. Each one of us has a part. When I need prayer, people come up and lay hands on me. We went and got prayer at the prayer wells because we need as much as anybody else. And we see God move. When you want to see God move, he's got an angel chasing everyone around with this scroll. And I say we pray and our eyes will be open enough to see what's written on the scroll, because what's written on the scroll is the very best of God for you right that day.
That's good.
And when you line up with that, look out. The things that happen in your life.
Amen.
For my prayers and my eyes are always open that I can see that scroll and see what he wants me to do today. See, what do you want me to do today, God? When some of our best ministry is not, you stumble into it. I remember once, one of my best ministry times ever, I might have told this place before, I was sitting home, I had my popcorn ready, I had this big iced tea, and I got this DVD I've been wanting to see, and I'm trying to get that in the DVD that's playing. God says, remember that place you used to go out in the open air mall? I want you to go there tonight. But God, they never even have this DVD in it. They just, and okay, I'd rather do what you want. I'd rather do what you want. So I left the popcorn there, and I left the iced tea there, and I left the DVD there, and I drove a couple hours to this open air mall. I'm like, God, what do you want to do there? What'd you send me here for? He says, that's a good parking spot over there, isn't it? I go, yeah, that's a good parking spot. So I pulled in the parking spot. I said, now, come on, tell me what am I up here for? I was just going to watch that. I don't take many nights off. What am I up here for? He said, you know that frozen yogurt place you like? They got that kind they usually don't have you really like. I'm like, get behind me, Satan. You don't tell me. I said, no, that's me. I want you to go get that frozen yogurt. So I go down there, and sure enough, this kind they never have, they had. So I get some, and I get a bowl, and I say, what do you want me to do, God? He said, go over there and see that bench. Wouldn't that be a nice place to eat it? So I go over and I set that down on the bench and say, God, that's going to melt right there, unless you give me an idea of what I'm doing here. And he just clearly told me, in a few minutes, this new Christian boy is going to come and share Jesus with one of his friends. And I want you to just pray for him while he's doing it. And I'm sitting there eating that ice cream. And a few minutes later, here's this boy. He sees his friend. He comes up. They go to college in that town together. So I haven't seen you for a long time. What's going on? Oh my gosh, you won't believe what happened to me. Oh my gosh, I become a Christian. Man, when God came inside and he's explaining to this young man, and he's sitting there and he's leading him to the Lord in front of him as I'm just interceding for him. I said, gets finished. I said, God, can I go talk to him? He says, nope. You're done with that yogurt. Go throw it in the trash and go home. We have a God that's been doing awesome stuff for us. Sometimes we don't even know how much. We say, thank you, God. See, that's pure ministry. You don't want nothing from it. You don't get nothing from it. They're never even going to know you were there. Love them. And pray. That's a God, unselfish, loves us like that, and pours out in us. Man, we got to strip off the selfishness to get to that point where you say, God, I don't care if I get a word here. I know these people over here need a word from God, and I know these people. Just go give it to them from the prophet God. Just bless them, God. And just watch you pour out, God. I just want to watch you pour out. I got to pray and give back a few kids. I got to see a lot of kids see their first things when God opened their eyes. Their first sights. To be there and look in the face when deaf kids have heard their first words. It's a beautiful thing.
Amen.
And you know what? God looked at us. We were just as deaf before we met Jesus.
Amen.
We were just as blind. And the first time you see, and it was just like when I went to sleep that night after we prayed for that girl, God turned all the colors back on. I realized that was my life before Jesus. I didn't see color and beauty and love and everything. Not like I can see now. We see God's love and His beauty and His pouring out. Just the fact He uses. I think, man, I'm so unusable. I know who I was. I'm a friend. I was just a dirty toilet. I wasn't even a dirty toilet. I was so dirty. When you came up, you go, if there's one within 500 miles, I will find it. That's what God had to use. And God said, don't worry, I'll plant enough flowers around you. Nobody sees that. See, God's looking for people that just want to be, pour out His love and understand. Who are you, God? And then realize, if you give us glory, we're going to give it back to you, because I don't take no stripes for nobody.
That's right. That's right.
I know with me, God had come clear to the grave and get me. Not quite the grave, but at least the morgue. Close. See, those that doesn't know my story, I took 100,000 volts of electricity and blew these two fingers off. I blew down through me and blew a section of my heart off. And then it turned and cooked everything inside, like a super microwave. And went down here and blew out my leg. And I had flames shooting like 2 foot out my leg. That liar, pants on fire, I was him. Literally. And I remember that when you're up there and you're getting that much power, you know that when you're getting shocked, you feel it and you feel it going, and then you know it is going to be too late. You're already shocked. And I was up alone, 40 foot in the air on a big power tower, so there's no one up there to rescue you. And so there was a little slit on a bucket system, and someone had cut the rubbers and we didn't see it. And the powers literally, when they turned it on, they weren't supposed to turn it on that way, and someone read the wrong numbers or they threw the wrong switch when they caused a rolling blackout. And so when it blew that to me, it was arcing onto that through my body. So my body was just part of the system. And that much electricity, there's nothing, even fiberglass go through the impurities and get you. So I remember that as I was up there, I was screaming, help me, Daddy, help me. And I felt 2 hands hit my chest. And I went a little over 40 foot off the power tower and hit the ground.
Wow.
Went through a guy's arm and broke every bone in my body. I hit hard enough that I flipped completely. That guy trying to catch me, I flipped him completely over me. And ended up there and going, whoa. I remember telling everyone, they went to shock. You know, when you're the only Christian there, you might have to stay awake and pray for yourself. That's what I got to tell you. Most people get electrocuted with 100,000 volts, it knocks you out. Most people fall 40 foot, they're knocked out. Me, I got both, and I still got to stay awake because I was the only Christian there, so I got to pray for myself. I got to cry out for God to show up. And I remember that I was so cooked on the inside, just broke. They took bones from my toes out of my chest. My feet had bones. Broken all up. My ankles were broke. My tibias were broke. My knees were all shattered up. My femurs were broken multiple places and sticking out through my jeans, and blood was pumping and fire was flaming. And I remember my legs were all twisted around underneath me, and my arms were all broken down, and the 2 fingers were missing. They were just black charred bones there, and the rest were all broken and fractured. My jaw was broken. Vertebrae were shattered in my back. My tailbone was broken and shattered. Every bone in my body basically was broken. My ribs were all caved in. I remember that my heart, I fell just to 40 foot. God was so good. I hit just hard enough to start my heart and just slow enough that the ribs weren't poking through my heart. What was left of it. So God could make it work. I hit just hard enough for it to go poof and start pumping again. So I'm laying down on the ground, I'm looking down, and you're not supposed to see 2-foot flames shoot out of you. I got news for you. It ain't a good sight. I remember that when I was crying out, and I knew about God then, and I'd seen him heal a lot of people before then. I'm glad he let me see that. I remember everyone said, "We remember what you prayed." Well, remember, you prayed, "I don't need no dead in the grave, Jesus." Don't you know some of their Jesus and I don't need no paperback version Jesus. You know, some people, their Jesus is no more than a character. I could say a TV Jesus, some character they know on TV now. That's all it was. But I need you, the real Jesus I know comes and heals. I need you to come and take some of this pain away. How many people think I might hurt a little? I remember that everyone went in shock. They said, "What do we do? What do we do?" I said, "Call an ambulance. That's what you do." And I remember God said then, he spoke to me audibly. He says, "Don't worry what anyone says or how anyone looks at you. You're going to be fine and I'll take care of you." You know what? My dad's not a liar, and I believe my Heavenly Father. So I believed him. Then I found out what he meant. They rolled 2 trucks of ambulance for me. And down, they ran up to me and they looked at me and they turned, lost all the color in their face, backed up, and said, "Don't even touch him." They didn't know what to do. You know, when you freak out the ambulance drivers that see all the bad stuff, that's not a good sign either. And it's not even fun falling 40 foot. You know why? Your life flashes before you and it's a rerun. Unless you like reruns, you're not going to like it. I remember that. I told him, "Call my pastor," because I just went in. God told me to go in and quit that morning. Not because I didn't love him, but because God told me to quit. So I've been a youth pastor there like 12, 13 years. That freaked them out. I said, I can't be your pastor anymore. I was crying all night with God, talked to him about it. I said, "What's it mean?" God said, "Just come in and resign, and you guys start looking for a new youth pastor today." So in tears, I went on to work and got electrocuted. Because I'd heard the word of the Lord tell him, "You need a new youth pastor today." But when I hit the ground, I said, "My pastor believes in healing. Call him up. He loves me. He'll still come and pray." He would. I knew it. I said, "Call my crazy roommates. They believe this healing stuff. They'll pray." So they came. I lived with all these crazy guys, Christian guys, in this big house. And one of them was dating an emergency room nurse. Was at that emergency room. She just got off work, so she came back. They flew me on a flight for life to that hospital. There's a lot more beyond like the CD I gave you guys. A lot more of the story. We won't get to all of it today. And so then I remember that she came back in and she looked at me, and I see my friend, just the horror look on her face, and she went out to the hallway to cry. Because my good friend thought, "I'm losing my friend today." See, the natural looks can look one thing. Just like we kept hearing the natural. Everything's going to happen to our grandson. But see, we knew what God said already in the spiritual.
That's right.
And the spiritual is more real any day if you got a solid word on that than the natural. And so she had to pray till she got it together to come back in. I remember they kept they put all these air casts all over my body. So they take off, and my body was like jello. So when they take it off, all the broken bones would just flow all over. And they didn't know what to do to fix me, and nobody lives through that much, so they don't have anything to go by even. So they finally decided. I remember once they kept letting things out, and every broken part would be flowing around. They'd cut things inside. I'm like, "Just bring everybody in at once that needs to see this. Got nothing to do with them. It hurts." Then they put it back up. It hurt again. Remember, they said, "We don't know what to do for you. Would you give us permission to cut you open and look inside?" And they cut me open and looked inside, found bones from my feet up in my chest. They found that I only had a piece of my heart that a lot of it had blown off. They found out that everything was so cooked inside. They stapled me up and sewed me up and put me in traction and listed me at 0% chance to live for 3 months. During that time, I had fevers that spiked to 110 most days. They said that shouldn't have killed anybody. They had things that kept happening. They kept putting my blood system back in and just flow out of me. So they're trying to sew things up and try to fix things. Remember that. Remember being there and saying, God, you said you wouldn't take me through more than I can. See, the more dead my body was, the more alive my spirit was, the more I was with Jesus Christ. He was there with me. But there's days I said, you said you wouldn't give me more. I'm teetering on the fence. I'm not sure which side I'm falling, too much or not. You better take some of this back. And he would pull some of it back. And there was a season. And I remember they worked on me for a long time and kept trying to do stuff, and still there. My family and friends in church were going crazy on what's going down. They'd have to come and pray and make visuals. Many got away with God and prayed. He said, your friend's going to live through this. He's going to be fine. I'm going to heal him. There's people that got that solid. There's people that thought I'd die. Even one day my pastor finally said, after 3 months, even though I believe in healing, maybe we're just keeping Ron enough so that he could suffer. Maybe this morning we should just pray to release them and let him go. He said, as soon as I said that, 2 people I know, the kind of people that always go around looking at their shoelaces. They won't even look you in the eyes. They jumped up in the middle of church and screamed at him and said, no way, God said Ron's going to live and not die. And he said, when 2 of your humblest people challenged you from the pulpit, I fell down, repented, and we never did believe for you to die. And after 3 months, and all the times they kept trying to bring me back around and kept thinking I was going to die, and each shift they'd write, this man's going to die in this shift. We're not sure why I lived through the last one. I died 6 times, and they brought me back around, and I remember the 7th time really well. 7th time, I went out, and I remember, because you could hear, your spirit's wide awake, so you can hear what people are saying in the coma. I've really taught with this a lot in medical conventions and stuff, that they need to watch what they say about people, because they can hear. You speak good, they speak good. I've called a whole bunch of people out of comas now. It's been cool. I called that one who'd been in a coma for a long time. I told him, he's in the valley of decision of death. The doctors unplugged him. He's supposed to die in 30 seconds. 3 weeks later, they plug him back in. He squeezes his family's hand to receive Jesus. They unplug him. He died in 20 seconds. I've seen people come right out of a coma and talk to you. So you can talk to them about the things of Jesus and all this stuff that was going down. And so they're in there, and they said, his heart quit. Bring in the crash cart. And I'm like, isn't that where they electrocute you? Isn't that where they shock you? How can electricity be the answer? That's what I'm here in the first place. No, electricity cannot be that. That's what my mind is thinking. How can electricity be? And they hit me, boom, with them paddles clear. And all my broken parts went flying out. They hadn't said anything in months. And everything's cutting up, and it felt like he stuck a hot spear in my heart and pulled it out. Here's this doctor going, it didn't work, increase the power. Now I got feeding tubes and tracheotomy and stuff in. I'm like, don't do that, sucker, that hurts. Don't do that again. And he shocked me 3 times on full power, and it didn't work. And they cracked my chest open, and they massaged my heart, what was left of it, shocked it, and worked on me for an hour and 45 minutes. I was already an hour and lung, because my lung was just shattered into holes. They weren't breathing. And after an hour and 45 minutes, they finally said, we'll call it now. Worked on me for an hour and 45, and they tagged my toe, and they zipped me up in a body bag and rolled me down to the morgue. And I remember that. I didn't realize I'm dead. I didn't realize that. I just kind of thought, I'm sleepy. I'm just going to rest a little here. And they rolled me down to the morgue in this chilled room to wait for him to come and do an autopsy on me. And I'm down in this room, and all of a sudden I see this demon comes for me. And he says, he speaks to my heart. He says, I've come for you, and there's nothing you can do. See, he wanted me to agree with him so he could drag me to hell. He's ready to stinking demons. But I said, no way. The master said, no way. My dad said I was going to live and not die, so I'm not going with you. I don't believe you. And I just sat there and fought him off. And right as soon as I said, no way, these 2 giant angels stood up beside my gurney I was laying on there in that body bag. And they were taller than the room above me, really tall ceilings. I could hear them. And I could see up through the floor and see they're standing there, these giant angels. And they're like, no way. The master said you could bring him this far, no further, and just throw him right off. And I remember sitting there going, whoa. And then I realized I'm seeing through a body bag. I'm in the morgue. I mean, just realizing I'm in the morgue, that's a freaky thing. To know you're waking up and you're in a morgue. And the Lord says, Ron, it's not your time. I'm going to blow breath back in you and send you back. You have more to do. And the Lord just went, my lungs started going, and they could see my heart. I lost, ribs were blowing in the dust. You can see my heartbeat, can't you? And so, right then, this nurse said it had been over 5 hours. This nurse that had got saved because of my friends. She came down, this new Christian, and she unzipped the bag, and she held my hand after being upstairs over 5 hours and saying, prayed for me. Right then, I used to teach youth with the mission, other things, street evangelism, and I had friends all over the world, and I got 10 cards and letters that said, God didn't tell us what's wrong, but he said, pray for your life at this date and this time, and send you a card to tell you we're praying for you. Wow. They hadn't heard I was electrocuted. They hadn't heard what had happened. From all over the world, when you break down the time zones, some's even a different day. And the time zones on each one of those 10 cards are the exact minute they filled out my death certificate. Don't tell me there's not a God in heaven that cares about each one of us. So many times I was so wild, and then God got me, and people say, God didn't care about the little stuff. I'm like, are you kidding me? Numbers the hairs on my head. I'd ask a scientist from Stanford, how do they do that? They have to figure out kind of how many square centimeters your hair is. And then take some averages, because nobody can count it. We can't count it. God keeps track when we lose one. Don't tell me he doesn't care about every little thing in our life. Don't tell me he doesn't have a good plan as if we're so bad plan. Sometimes you do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. I know Joseph had to do that for a long time, over and over again. But you know what happened? He saved an entire nation. Because when it came down to it, he said, you meant this for evil, but God meant it for good. And it saved a nation. And I want to tell you that if you do lots of good things and you haven't seen the return, then God has got something even bigger that is the reward that's coming. And it's way bigger than you can imagine. Because at the time, Joseph wasn't thinking, I'm going to save the nation. We get to celebrate Jesus because he saved the nation. Yeah. And I remember that. So they rolled me back upstairs. This nurse came down, see me, she's flipping out, she's screaming, get him back upstairs, he's alive. Hook the iron lungs back up. Now they got a problem. I'm alive again, and they still don't know how to fix me. So he said, well, let's try a few operations. I remember that they stuck big rods like this down and sent them through whatever piece of the little broken bone that was to hold them and put them from my knees to my hip and just fuse them all in. And I had a whole box of metal rods, and used to be really fun going through the airports. I'd always send them all off. And so wild that they said if it's under the skin, it doesn't. That's not true at all. It still sets them off. So at least mine did anyway. Yeah. And I remember that they didn't know what to do with me still, and my fingers were missing. I remember one day they said, we're going to have to operate on your hand. We got to cut it off. Your hand's dead. It has no feelings. You just got them charred bones on there. Over 100 people seen them fingers off. When they unwrapped my fingers to cut them off, cut that hand off, God would put them back on with full feeling so I could still worship God on my guitar. Wow. I had more times of worship to do. So he put them on with full feelings. Doctors say they'll never talk about them. They'd rather deny knowing me than say God grew my fingers back. I remember that they were trying to decide what to do to my back because it was all shattered up. So they took MRIs and X-rays. They actually did surgeries in my hospital room. They felt to roll me to surgery would still kill me. And so they just scrubbed my room down. They put an MRI and it has the back all shattered up and the X-rays. So the next day, right before surgery, they were going to come in and they were going to do it again, but the problem was the night before they let all my crazy Christian friends in, laid hands on me and prayed. Guess what happened? God changed that. He pulled all the broken pieces back together, but it's still sticking each way through the spleen, but it was only in 2 pieces instead of a bunch of little pieces. And that freaked them out so much they had all the machinery checked, it tested out fine. And the trouble is, the next morning, that they took the x-rays and it was back together healing itself because they let some more of my friends in who prayed for me, laid hands, and God healed my back. He just pulled it together and healed it. I remember when there's so much that kept happening, and then they said, God has done so much in you, but we're going to have to send you to another hospital. I knew this paraplegic because I could only move one hand. That's all I had. So I'd been through all that, and I could move one hand a little, so they put me into a paraplegic hospital. And after I was in there for about a week, there was a team of doctors that came from my old hospital. You know what they said? So when Satan comes after, he doesn't just come with one deal, and if you do, fine, then go. And they might throw a second, but this time he came back and he said, team of doctors, they didn't look after me. I said, what's wrong? They said, you fought so hard to live, and now we've killed you. And I said, okay. I said, I want you to know I forgive you for whatever you're about to tell me. So tell me what you're saying. He said, in the 10 times or so of filling your entire body back up with blood, in our haste, we gave you tainted blood at full-blown AIDS and hepatitis C. And me and the healthy person wouldn't live through what we gave you. So we're so sorry. So I told him, look, again, I say I forgive you because you didn't do that on purpose, but understand that my Father said I'm going to live and not die, so I choose to believe him. So thank you for telling us what to pray for. I tell doctors that all the time, thank you for telling me what to pray for. I'm going to go with God the healer, not the guy who practices medicine. Sorry if you have a problem. So I went and 10 tests all came back positive, and everyone after that got healed. My blood and cleansed it, and nothing was in there. And then after about a month or so in that hospital, and I was encouraging a lot of patients. You know, they put you in them little whirlpools so that you can move easy, and that one hand would work. Well, they put me in a whirlpool with another patient, and the minister in me came out because Jesus wants to heal people. So I'm in there and I'm like, Shakapa, in Jesus' name. 3 people got out of the wheels, out of that pools beside me, healed. Paraplegic, screaming, hollering. And I'm going, Jesus, I'm in the pool. What about me? The water said, I'm in the pool. Come on, man. Come on. I've gone through this. I've had my months. I've been wiped out. I've felt the pain. Now, how about my legs work? I'm telling them to work and they're not listening.
Yeah.
So then one day I really believed God told me I was going to walk right out of there. I always believed that because of what he told me. And so I bugged everybody at the hospital. So they take me in to this room at the end of the day where they have all the parallel steel bars, and they go, okay, hotshot, Christian, do it. And I'd love to say I grabbed that bars and jumped up, but I couldn't get out of the wheelchair myself. And nothing worked. So they rolled me back to the room, this group of atheist people. And I remember they're saying, what happened, hotshot Christian? You were really bugging us. They're right. And depression was coming on me, and Satan's throwing everything he could at me. But you know what happened? I learned Jesus fought the devil with this. He said, give me a scripture, Jesus, to use for this. And I'm telling you, you better read the Bible now, because